They say it takes a village to raise a child. But look at the shape the village in now. Baby mom's in the club shaking that booty and acting wild, and baby dad, he's nowhere to be found. So what do we have here now? A recipe for destruction. Another young youth talking about he want to be a pimp, a dope dealer, a hustler, and on these four corners he sees his future, so he doesn't look any farther. He bumped into his father, and his father said, why bother? Because he was a felon too. So what's the village to do? Long gone are the days where the candy lady sold cool cups made from real Kool-Aid. Hey, does anybody even know where a candy lady stay? See, I come up in an era we didn't have no station to play. Outside is where we stayed, and we played marbles and cops and robbers and cowboys and Indians and high and go getting it, and engine number 9 going down Chicago line. If the train jumped the track, do you want your money back? Y-E-S spells yes, and out goes Y-O-U. In the village, this is what we used to do. But nowadays, kids can't even come out and play because these dudes over here, they always shoot. And mom, she wasn't trying to be your friend, and forget about being cool. Grown folks talking, you wasn't even in the room. And mom didn't need no Facebook or no Instagram to keep up with you. On one end of the block lived Miss Lulu. On the other end of the block lived Miss Susu. And if she saw you doing something you weren't supposed to, she was going to tell your mama on you. But nowadays, we can't even trust the grown folks' judgment. Because the grown folks, we the main ones out here in thugging. Get a call from the principal's office, show up at the high school with your house coat on and your house shoes ready to cut a fool, and everybody know your child the baddest in the class. And look at you, Mom. You come up here to kick the teacher's ass. The days of the village have passed. And the children, they just want to play on the playground. They say it takes a village to raise a child, but look at the shape the village in now. Your boy Timbuktu the poet, Birmingham, Alabama, born and bred. Give thanks.
It was 11 of us. I was number 7. And actually, thinking back, it took the whole community to help raise the Johnson children. And Naomi Jose was my godmama. She helped mom with a lot of her children, but I'm glad she chose me, and I appreciate the love and kindness she showed upon us. As a matter of fact, I named my daughter after her, Naomi. And not just auntie, but it was just the neighbors, Miss Susie, Miss Flowers, Miss Sister Pearl. I mean, all the people in the community had a hand in. The Halls down the street. Mr. Hall had a horse and a buggy. And we not that old. And Mr. Pratt, they kept us in line. They kept us intact,
Yes.
you know.
The ill people did.
And we enjoyed playing with the other kids once we had a chance to play. We never were able to go to a park or a playground for some odd reason. We played in the street, kickball, and we wouldn't dare kick the ball in Mr. Fred's yard because you know what would happen. But I thank God for the good memories and the help. As far as back as my great grandpa, George Nobles, he had the garden, and he had that garden up until age 87, about 87. I remember reading an article how he was in his 80s. He did the garden, and somebody else had chickens, and I remember Big Papa giving people fresh vegetables, and the community was just the school was just a few blocks up, and you know everybody knew everybody in that community, and they looked out for one another. And if your water get off, hey, run a hose pipe. We'll help you with your water. Even if your lights went off, we'll give you some lanterns, or hey, give me a plug. And you know, we were able to make it, and I thank God. And it wasn't just all hard times. It was some sweet memories in there. My mom was the lunchroom manager. I remember that. The best cinnamon rolls ever.
Oh God, yes.
And not only that, the people would come by and ask for a plate on Sundays.
Yeah, community.
And Mama would feed them 13 plus.
Huh?
She would always take in, lived in a small house, but she would always take in when people needed help. But Eureka was the bomb.
Yes, it was.
You remember when he had this big truck? It looked like a old dump truck, but he had the back of it. He had built wood around it, and he threw blankets on the back of his truck, and just told the community kids, "Y'all pile in. We going to the movies." He took us down on Bessemer Superhighway, the back side of it, and parked across the street. And we was laying on the blankets looking at the drive-in for free. I'll never forget the movie was Amen. Something like that. A song was in it called Amen. It was a great time. You're right with the elder people in the community. It was so much togetherness and unity in that community because it was like the older people were on the style of being saints. So we respected those people.
You better.
And that's right, because they could be our mama, our dad at any time we did something wrong. And that was the joy of growing up. Now we can say that was the joy. Because when we were young, we wanted to get into it.
Oh,
We did. I think it was me and Vicky. We sneaked to a party down Diane Jones' house. We had got in there real good, a backyard party. And the next thing I know, I heard somebody holler out, "Here come Mr. Johnson, and he got his drawers on, and he got a sweater." We looked up, me and Vicky looked up. He never opened his mouth, but we took out. We ran around the side of the house, Mr. Jones' house, and went back home. He just turned around and came back and lit us up.
yes it is.
Oh, we were sore up maybe some days.
Oh yes.
You know, and at that time when we got whoopings, we would get so angry. "I don't want to touch nothing that belonged to you." He said, "Well, get out of my house. You standing on my floor. Get out." He didn't know no better. We just wanted revenge, but wasn't no revenge then.
No.
You had to accept defeat and start over again. And you better start over again right. And our family was also a very spiritual family. We all would see ghosts in the house.
Oh
We
yes.
could see those spirits and
My God.
we would tear into each other getting out of the room, trying to
Randy
get
and
to our
Johnny now.
mom and our dad. You know, and I can remember great grandma, our great grandma, big mama. She would always tell us about being obedient and be good, because if we didn't, the devil was gonna get us. And true enough, the devil, he had plans for us.
Yes it is.
But for some reason, we always knew how to pray. Because from growing up, maybe 2 or 3 or 4, we had to be in those prayer meetings. We had to learn a Bible verse. We had to testify and sing. And then sit down and be quiet until they finished their service. And that was like Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday.
You know, we had to do that. And like I said, at that time, it used to make us real mad because we couldn't go outside and do anything. We had to sit there and pay attention. And today, you know, I can say I truly appreciate it.
You know, and that thing about community, and I'm younger than you brothers, and I don't mean to disrespect, so please correct me if I veer off. But the thing about us back then, we were forced into having close communities. We stuck together. That's how we stayed strong. Those of us that had some type of business or whatnot, we shopped at our own place and things like that. I'm going to kind of give a synopsis of what my experiences are. When the civil rights architects put it together, you hear a lot of people now say that the black community was stronger before the civil rights movement. It's my strong and firm opinion that the civil rights movement was a grand idea where we as a community went wrong. Rather than go out and get those new educational and economical opportunities and bring them back to our communities, we went and got them And we kept going with them. We took them to Greystone and Hollywood and all these other places. And that's why you look at most of our neighborhoods, some of them don't even exist anymore. They're blighted areas, commercial encroachment and injustice. That's what we deal with now. The kids now, there are no roots. The people that lived in the community were the same people that educated our children. The same ones that's gonna whoop our children's butt in school and gonna walk them to the house to their mama until they get, there was nothing back for me in Rosedale, Alabama, for a teacher to have a problem with a student. She gonna walk him from the classroom down to his mama house and get him straightened out. Y'all wait on a minute, I'll be back in just a few minutes. She gonna take him down to the house. It was nothing for that to happen. Now somebody going to jail if that happened. And somebody probably gonna die because people unruly. They don't want to confess to the cowardice of their own behavior, meaning you don't admit that you neglected to raise your child properly. That's why that child is unruly. But not my baby, don't put your hand on my baby. That's because we lost a sense of what a community is all about. It means tightness, closeness, togetherness. It means strength.
Well, I want to piggyback off what you said, my friend, about Rosedale. Rosedale was the exception to the rule. Because in Rosedale, y'all lived in an exclusive section of town. It was close enough to Birmingham to be Birmingham. But y'all had segmented yourself into a place where it was just blacks within a white community, within an integrated, within a Jim Crow community. So Rosedale was for you probably like, a breath of fresh air, but for where we lived at in the projects, it was a totally different thing because basically in the projects what you had was a group of families, mostly headed by black females, looking for daddies or wanting daddies. I was lucky enough to have a dad and a mom, and we thought we were doing good, man, because we were living in the projects, Yeah. That was our community. We thought we was jamming. I mean, we go to places like in the rural section, we call that the country, and it was like, shoot, let me hurry up and get back to the project. That was our place. That's where, we had our haven. That's where we had our refuge. Word association. When you say community, that question, the first thing that comes to me was my band teacher. Community, togetherness. It was 5 of us. 5 of us were in the band throughout elementary and high school. But we had a band teacher in elementary school who recognized that we were 5 people in this band. But we couldn't really get to the rehearsals all the time because we lived a long ways from the school. He would come and pick us up in his station wagon. And when he come and pick us up, all 5 of us get in the back of that station wagon and he would take us. So that's where I first really learned that there were black men in the community who thought about me as much as my dad did, but my dad couldn't do it because he working 2 jobs, okay? Right. So word association, for me, when you say community, even with Glenn over here, when we were going to high school and elementary school, the band for us was our haven. Now, within the neighborhood, we didn't have any role models because if we go back to what our community was, the 3 people we saw the most in our community was the postman, who was white, the insurance man, who was white, and the police, who was white, okay? So that was our community in terms of the people we saw who would be our future, who were our mentors and which would be our future. Now, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna let it pass. In my career, after going to college, after matriculating to a place where I was able with a degree to find a job, I found a job where I wore a suit and tie. Now, when I was a kid with my mama, walking through the streets of Birmingham, I was wondering, like, how all these white people get these jobs where they walk around in suits and ties? I thought that would never be me because the elevator operator was black. The man that cleaned up the yard was black. Wasn't none of them walking around in no suits and ties. And so when I got a job as a probation officer with the city of Birmingham, 30-something years ago, I look back at myself and I was like, dang, I got one of the jobs like they got. I wear a suit and tie every day. But we'll pass that on over to you now because that's a whole nother story too.
Oh, yeah. Getting back or adding on to community. Guy you talking about, Mr. Dangus, he was my band teacher too. All right, but what it was like so few men stepped up to the plate. So what he decided to do, he got Lane School and Spalding School, altered the days, and then collectively get you together. Okay, and that was good learning really, cause see, it's like the song said, the more you get together, the happier we be. My friend, your friend, my friend. All right, so then when we moved from elementary school on to high school, I'm not as scared as I normally would be, because guess what? I got some band friends that's from the hood, you know, and it worked out. But anyway, Mr. Daniels taught me. It stuck with me a long time. It's music is just like life. He said you take the key of B. Never be too sharp, always, never be too flat, always be natural. And once you be natural, you get what I'm saying, you go a long, long way. You know, because people accept you for what you really are, because you ain't trying to put on the front of that. Coming up in our community, man, we had, everybody had some kind of professional, some, Mr. Wait, hold on. The one with the hedges. Mr. Walker, Dan Walker. He was walking around with pair hedges and a push lawnmower. And buddy, when you seen his yard, you knew Dan Walker did that yard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We had pride, man.
Took pride.
Okay, and Mr. Fred had a shoe shine shop.
Shoe shop, big shoes.
Actually, Mr. Joe Davis, it was about 3 or 4 of them brothers, but he built 4 houses in a row. It was his house, his brother's house, his other brother's house, and then his sister's house. Actually, what we need to do is get it on his, the National Historic deal cause and it was a professional built houses. All of them had different sizes, wasn't the same thing. Don't even talk about the civil rights day.
My granddad.
Hey, they stand in the corners. Remember that, bro?
Yeah, they used to stand on the corners back in the day when the white folks would come through, and they'd sit out there with their shotguns. That's why we never had a problem with everyone outdoors at night, walking down the street or whatever, playing. All us men.
Men stood up.
The men stood up and been in the neighborhood. That's what black men got to start doing today. Is get out on your porch. Don't go in the house and look at TV and your children out there playing.
Right.
Stand out there on the porch and be night watchman. That's what we did back in the day, was night watchman. Everybody in the neighborhood was
Right.
black. They'll come out there, sit on the porch all night. To every child, go back in the house. So that's what made our neighborhood in Brown Hill so strong, because all of us stuck together. And our parents was right out there, grandparents was on the same street, and we stayed
They
on.
defended the community
Nobody
from
never
the
went home.
inside out.
Yeah.
Nobody
Nobody's
ever
been coming into that neighborhood, not white men at night. We never dealt with people, white crackers coming throwing stuff and shooting at us at night. Because our grandparents was out there with shotguns, waiting on
Every corner.
Every corner.
2 men on it.
Every
Every
corner. Night watching.
That's
Back
right.
in the day.
And-
That's what Brown Hill was made
And
of.
you're correct. I mean, you hit that on the head. Where Rosedale was,
Look the same
the fortunate thing about Rosedale, because Brown Hill and Mason City were sister city communities. to
All of them
Rosedale.
too, though.
Everybody was
Yeah.
just that close.
My dad went to
Southtown included. But and the thing that, like you say, set Rosedale apart, when blacks settled that area over the mountain, it was considered as not able to be farmed. It was considered as just rock, hill. That's that 40-acre and a mule property. They threw you over there because it wasn't worth the hill to be.
Yeah, like you did
But
Indian.
the natural African could grow a plant on a solid rock. He knew how to get the minerals from that rock to produce that plant.
Yeah.
See, farming was a part of who we were. We could, spit a watermelon seed and put it somewhere because we knew how to put it where it was going to germinate and grow something. We've gotten away from that. We don't teach our children that. My grandmother, before they built all that Red Mountain Expressway, part of the Eisenhower Expressway system over there, my grandmama would take us up through those woods and teach us the element of all of those plants. She'd take all the kids out of the community on the Sunday evening after she didn't go through the middle and Russell Hill and walk them up through those woods every Sunday evening. Back during the summer, and teach them the nutritional value of all the different plants up there, the sour grass that you chew on it and replace your electrolytes and lost fluids and things like that, persimmons and all these wild berries and things. We don't teach that anymore. We've gotten away from what a community was about. She didn't care who child it was.
It was love.
It was love. It was all about community.
Right.
Now what we want to do, we want to talk about don't snitch, don't do this. What we're doing, we're tearing the community down. We are allowing ourselves to pull away from what the community was. And that's why we're having so much problem
Well,
with things now.
See, you tapped into it from the beginning because your experience is unique, so your experience is unique. Mine was unique to the point where the type of covering that you had when you were talking about men on the watch, we didn't have that.
Yeah.
We were on the watch. I remember at a certain mortuary, and I won't call the name to protect the guilty, okay? In the early 60s, when the Ku Klux Klan would pass away, they'd come to this mortuary and do the service there, and they'd get out the car, putting on the hood and the gown. Now, at that time, 8th Avenue South, from all the way down to where Bear Bryant is buried, all the way up to the Southtown Project, was black on both sides of the street.
Business wise.
And what we would do,
Church in that
now this is a
business.
true story. I guess they won't get me about this now, but we used to stand in the back of the woods and stuff and shoot bow and arrows that we had made at these people getting out the car, these Ku Klux Klaners and stuff. And then we throw rocks and hide, go run back in the project. Now it's true.
That happened in our neighborhood.
Our community was sitting in the middle and whites were around us. We had the car line where it used to be a store, and it used to be, if I'm not mistaken, movie theater up in West End. We couldn't go to that theater. And when we rode the bus, we had to go to the back. I do remember that. And I remember when we wanted one time, we were young, and we decided we're going to walk to Powerley. And we had to go through the white neighborhood. I'm quite sure my sisters remember that. We went up there to the pool over in Powerley. And we walked through the neighborhood, and you know, we were always brought up to be polite and speak. And we was walking through the neighborhood, and it got so funny. I think it was Vicky and Cherie. It might have been Robbie and Paul. But anyway, we was walking through there and we spoke, and the lady asked us why were we speaking to her. And we bust out, went to laughing, and kept walking. And it was odd. It was odd. Even when we would go to church, our church was in Smithfield, and Urbz was in West End, so we had a good little piece to go. One day we missed the bus, and our granddaddy told us to meet him there at the church. And we had to walk. I remember that was Robbie. We had to walk from Urbz all the way to Smithfield to church. So when we got there, we told Big Papa was already in the church praying. He had already opened the church up. It was a little white church during that time with pale blue. He was already in there praying, and I was tired. So I said, I'm gonna sit out here and pull my shoes and socks off. I sat on the back porch of the church. And Big Papa come out there, and he was upset because I didn't have on any shoes or socks. And we had to sit there. But it was strange growing up, knowing that we couldn't go certain places. Young, it really didn't soak in that you were different. We knew the color of our skin, but we were different far as being able to go into Alabama Theater rather than the Carver downtown on 4th Avenue. So it was strange. It was just strange. And having to go to, when I got older, we went to Parker, and my aunt, my mom's sister, would carry us to school, myself and my brother Curtis. And we couldn't understand why we couldn't go to West End High School. It was right across the street, but only whites went there. And I was in the 9th grade when they started segregating. And they segregated us to West End, we had to go to West End High School. And it was strange then, because when we got there, the whites didn't want to be with us, didn't want to sit with us, didn't want to eat with us, didn't want to have nothing to do with us. And then they started moving out of the community of that area in West End. And that's when I started realizing this is what it was. You know, your skin is black, so it's just like you wasn't good enough to be with them. But you know, my mom brought us up to be proud black women, and it instilled power in us to be an overcomer of any obstacle that was put in before us.
T. Fire, you got some thoughts to share?
Well, yes, I can go back further because I was almost in the beginning of Eureka. Big Mom and Big Papa was my grandmom, granddad. Their great grandmom and granddad. But as they have already said, holiness was the way that we were trained to treat everybody right. And although there were segregated times, we didn't have to, it did not suppress us because we were taught how to live and how to treat everybody. And we had to, even before them, we were bused over to Parker High School. And we caught the bus right in front of West End High School and bused to Parker. And that was before integration. But it didn't bother us, and like Melrose has already told most of it, we were like nestled between the whites. And I used to babysit for one of the white neighbors across the track. And I was young in high school. She was very nice to me and everything, but we knew how to act because we had been taught how to act. And Eureka at that time it wasn't like it is now. And it was safe. Mm-hmm. We could sit on the porch all night and nothing would happen. And we'd leave windows up, doors open, and nobody was afraid of anybody because everybody was kind to each other in that little neighborhood. And we had everybody, all the Big Mama's and Big Papa's children came through that house. All of their children had a part in that house that we hope we can refurbish someday because that's the home house that boasts all her children spent some time coming through. Therefore, they got the learning, the education, how to treat your neighbor and anybody. And it came from Big Mama. And like she said, Big Papa always took us to church. So we got the first of it. They got the second of it. It carried on. They didn't stop when the younger ones, our children, were born. They carried on the same way. They would even have church in the house. They forever kept us before the Lord. And when we would try and do things that was out of the will of the Lord, being taught by Big Mama, if you were about to do something that was not right, Big Mama would appear. I mean, just in your mind, she was there. Remember one night I was about to go to a place that I shouldn't have gone, and Big Mama stood in front of me. And that let me know that her teaching had an effect, a positive effect.
In 1970, the government said that it was a good thing to integrate. But that took me from one side of the town to the other. Mm-hmm. Not only did it take me from one side of the town to the other, but it took me from all black teachers to white teachers and black teachers. Now, with that being said, I had some good black teachers. Mm-hmm. Miss Wesley, whose daughter was blew up, who was bombed in the 16th Street, was one of my teachers. Proficient in what she did. Who was in school today after it happened and stuff. You know, we were like tripped out about it, but I don't want to stop on that part. What I want to move on to is that when I get from one high school that was all black to another high school that's all black, but now we got white teachers, I was always proficient in my academics because my mom and dad made sure. It was the old analogy, if you get a whooping at school, when you get home, I'm going to whoop your mama. And then when your dad get home, you're going to get another whooping. Right. So you finna get 3 whoopings and stuff. Mm-hmm. So we made sure we got our lesson. Lord have mercy, don't make no F. I made an F one time. My mama came up to the school, elementary school, and whooped me in school and stuff. So, you know, with that being said, now I run into these white teachers, and they want to know why I'm so smart in so many words. Why I'm not in the enrichment class. As a black back then, you didn't want to be smart. A black male, right? You didn't want to stand out. You didn't want nobody to say, hey, that's the one right there. You want to lay back and clown in the back and stuff because that kept the heat off it. You didn't have to answer no question. But anyway, they identified me as being one of the students who had enough sense to go into the enrichment program. But what that did was that put me in the process with a couple of white English
Which in a
teachers.
whole different arena.
2 white English teachers who taught me how to read, write, do what's the word they use for them? Essays. And what it did, opened me up a whole nother world. Reading these books, reading these novels. That's all we did in the enrichment classes in the 11th and 12th grade. We didn't do no English, because you know English, I'm going to show you what the world is. So with that being said, they put me into the enrichment program, and just, you know, let my segment not overshadow everybody else. I get a scholarship and I go to college, okay? So.
My experience was, I'm gonna say somewhat horrible. The reason being because I ran across teachers that was just as racist as white folk was. Okay, they favored me because I was light skinned. You got what I'm saying? So I got by. You know, I could do the minimum and still get a C or B because my complexion. The principal would take me to the bank, but only to find out the analyzing a day later when you realize what was happening. We got to go to Tuscaloosa Avenue to the bank. That was First National Bank right there. Lily White. I was his protection. Because, you know, I was much lighter than I am now, but, you know, you get what I'm saying? We never take no dark-skinned person to the bank. But in the meantime, while they take me to the bank, I'm thinking it's all good, because I'm going to get some ice cream, a Jack's hamburger, 15 cents or whatever. You know? But in the meantime, I was missing my work. You get what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So had I been, had it not existed that way, I'd have been, I would say, a little bit more enlightened, much more wiser, smarter, whatever, because I would have had to get my work. I didn't have to get my work. You get what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
I got by, and which is wrong. They're wrong. Okay, but still, even at that, we got a better education than the kids get today because we did have somebody that really cared. And you know, and they taught you things that you really needed to know. Okay, for example, Ms. Woods, you got an 8th grade. You're going down to 2121 building to get your Social Security card, for which it would allow you to go get a job, do this, that, blah, blah, blah. It was, you know, they went more than just teaching out the book.
It was a builder.
You know, and so we had that, and then just like I said, you know, we went to Cleveland Station one time, caught ourselves in a little game, go whoop somebody up, rape. Before I get back home, Mama sitting on the porch. Come on here, little gangster. But our communities, that was, you know, we had communication networks.
And folks know everybody.
And they know everybody.
They go to the same store.
You know, and one nobody never, like I said, nobody never hungry. Okay, getting back to the schooling system though, the worst thing, in my opinion, that happened to us was immigration. Because we ended up, we didn't want no white folk whooping on our children. White folk didn't want them, you know, whooping on their children. So we lost discipline. And when we lost that discipline, took that discipline out, we started creating little monsters.
You start to go from lack of discipline to taking Christianity, taking the Bible out of school, taking all these things out of school.
You got Santa Claus,
school,
you got Halloween, Goose and Goblins, but you can't sell prayer. You know? Come on, talk to me.
But now, you know, back during my day, and here again, we were in a whole different pocket. I mean, I went to Shades Harbor Elementary School, which was predominantly one.
Right.
You went to the big school.
I went there for a Head Start.
Yeah.
But I went to Rosedale, which was out of zone for me because I was a Rosedale Homewood citizen. So Homewood had its own school system, but our folks who didn't do the research and understand, going to that county school was out of zone for us. But my folks sent me, my mom sent me to Rosedale High School for first grade. I got in first grade and realized I didn't even know how to spell my name. I'm trying to figure where these other blacks come from. These kids in first grade could spell their name and everything else.
Where did they come from?
And I came from this white Head Start.
Yeah.
You were just in. You were just in.
Just
Because the government said you got to be there. They didn't try to teach you nothing. You know, I should have been taught my name long before going in, how to spell. It ain't but 4 letters, Jock. Where? You know, but now, once you got in first grade, then that's where the teachers came in. Rosedale being an all-black school. The superintendent back then was Fess Montgomery, the brother of Edward Perkins Montgomery, also from the landowner and businessman that helped found and settle a lot of parts of Rosedale. Their family did. Rosedale became the first accredited school in the entire state of Alabama, black or white, and it was all black. And that's the thing about education we talk about. Everybody want to talk about, and I don't mind saying it. People want to talk about the University of Alabama and all these other schools when they forget that for a black school, college or high school or whatever, that got accredited back then, they had to jump through fire hoops with gasoline draws on to get it. They couldn't just say we are a university and be accredited. They had to meet the bill. They had to go the extra 9 yards. That's why you can go to Tuskegee and get a better education than you'll ever get at the University of Alabama. Tuskegee got one of the best veterinary science programs and electrical engineering program in the country, period. We don't understand what our schools have to go through. However, then you got this desegregation thing going on, and I was right in the heart of that because the next year I went to Shades Cahaba for 2nd grade. You got teachers that were career educators. They became teachers because that's what they wanted to do. Then you had ones that became educators by default because they didn't make the grade to go to medical school and become an attorney and accountant and all that. So, okay, so I do have a degree in geometry, so I'm gonna teach that at school. See, that's by default. They don't want to be there. So all of a sudden you're gonna become that student. And I hate to say it, and I hate to agree with you. You're darker than him, so I'm gonna automatically give Griggs, you know, favoritism.
Favoritism color.
And you, my
It's a color
brother,
stroke, ain't with the black teeth.
take the trash out.
You could have had the black teeth.
You taking too long to take the trash. You got your work to do. Glenn up there eating ice cream, man, his work all day long and making seasoned beans.
Yeah.
I lived through it. I saw every bit of that.
I seen it
You know,
myself.
I'm a little bright-skinned little boy with light brown eyes. Oh yeah, they tried to give me favoritism, but I had an attitude. I got it real bad because I like to read, try to learn things. When I found out I couldn't write my name, that hurt me. But then the teachers,
Motivated.
Miss Simmons, I
The
never
black
forget.
teacher, they teach you how to read and write.
That's right. When I was in
Right.
first grade, Miss Simmons told me this.
Education.
She sat down to help me eat my lunch and told me, said, look, she's called me Little Joe. My big brother said, listen, next year you're going to be going to the white school. Now, this is what I'm going to let you understand. And she broke it down to me. I was a child. She says, you're going to go over there and you're supposed to get a better education over there. See, they weren't going to bring white folks into the black community school. That wasn't going to happen. But she says, now, what you're going to have to do, because they're not going to teach you about this community you come out of. They're not going to teach you about who you are. I didn't understand what she meant by culture back then, but as I grew, I understood it. They're not going to teach you about your culture. They're going to take you over there and teach you about them. But you're going to have to keep your head and nose wide open to learn about who you are. You understand? You got to learn what it is to be an African American, because they insist on you learn how to how to live the white way. And that's what we got, and that carries with me to this day.
During the segregation time, we had to go to work with Dad. And this white man hired Dad to tear this service station down, because, you know, he really loves service stations. And, you know, we were in there, me and him and Curtis, and it might have been Gunky. We were tearing it, you know, he was telling us, move that right there, take this out, blah, blah, blah. Got into some part of the wall, and it was a pack of papers. It's the goddamn truth.
I remember that.
And baby, I said, don't throw it away, what is it? Got the reading in there, and it was the plan for the 16th Street bombing.
Yes, it was.
Do you hear me? And this here happened way back, because I was maybe in the 7th or 8th grade. So it was close to that time. And what happened was...
Wasn't it on Greymount where y'all...
Yes, it was called Trackside Service Station.
Yes,
I know where it was
that.
right now. I want you to know them names on there. I can remember some of them. But I do remember this. It was a black man that went and bought the dynamite. And I think his name was Clyde. They gave him $50 to go buy the dynamite that blew up them girls. Sure did. And that man who they had in jail for bombing it, they didn't lie. It was him. He was the whole instigator. But what happened, Mama got scared. So we took it to our pastor. And
He got scared.
He said, burn them up. burn them papers up, get rid of them quick, before y'all whole family be dead. And see, yes, he said
that.
Yes, it did.
He said that, baby. And then he said, give me them so and so. He said, we burning this right now. He burnt them papers, baby, and told us to be quiet and don't never say nothing about it if we wanted to stay alive. And that's what we did.
I remember the days playing sick at school. My stomach hurt. That would be my move. Should we call your dad? No, not that dude. How about your granny? Yeah, that'll be cool. You see, she from the old school, the old South. So you might just find a little squirrel, a little rabbit in your soup. And if you had a cold, you might just find a little lemon, a little cod liver oil, a little whiskey just to help you regroup. And sometimes we rode them once boycotted buses downtown to Birmingham just for something to do. And she sat proudly in the front. But now there on them school buses, we rushes to cut the food to sit in the back. And sometimes we went downtown to those department stores that once hung no colored signs. She say, child, no matter how dark it get, that little light of yours, just let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine. Oh, she was my superhero. Superman could stay in the booth. Plus, she was the only one I trusted to pull my loose tooth. Somehow she made it not hurt. She had 13 miles to feed, sometimes 17, including the neighbor kids, and somehow she made it work. And it wasn't a Sunday that we didn't go to church. She said if you could party hard on a Saturday night, you could wake up Sunday morning and give God a little time for your life. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
You see, she was raising amen. And sometimes I thought we stayed too long, the shout and the spirit, the song. But it was only making my faith strong, because doubt kills desire, which destroys hope. You'll find yourself walking in circles, chasing dreams just blown up in smoke. And we got to stay prayed up even when times are hard. And don't question where I got my heart. My granny taught me to give when I didn't have. Most folks say that's some crazy math. But see, we was walking on a different path. And I remember walking the path to the candle lady. I remember grandma having them prayer meetings in her front room, blessed doors and Bible screaming, sweet Lord Jesus, save them babies, because crackhead done took over the 80s, made the elders prisoners of their own home. They couldn't even sit on the porch without some fear of a young buck come shooting it up. I was taught if you disrespect your elders, your days will be cut short. Oh yes, we was poor, but we kept a clean floor. And how dare you not open up her door, black or white. And I learned that some peanut butter and jelly helped them empty bellies throughout the night. And I learned that around the age of 3, the 3 braided switches will help you behave. They told my grandma that she was 3 days away from her grave, but we pushed her out that hospital and she smiled and waved. And she sent me a message to bring her some ice cream and Kool-Aid, and my smile was that big. She taught me the definition of success, and it was don't quit, never give. She said even in defeat, keep your head up, because we know the taste of victory is sweet. There's no such thing as bad luck. And I remember her watching me come and chase a ball. So how could I not be there to pick her up when she fall? Oh, it's my name that she can't recall. She say stand tall. Every morning she fixed me 2 slices of turkey bacon, eggs and grits. So every morning I fix her 2 slices of sausage, breakfast in bed. And when I was a baby, she changed my diaper, followed by Johnson & Johnson baby powder. So every morning I change her diaper and I assist her with her shower. It's just the days of doing God's work in God's garden, taking care of one of his flowers, because she is so beautiful to me. Oh yeah?
You got it.
I got it?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. Give me 5 days. Damn me up. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Oh yeah.
As I let my mind run back, I can see a little old church sitting by the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
Just a little shabby old place.
Oh, yeah.
We used to sing Amazing Grace. But talking about a good time, Lord, Lord, a mighty, mighty good time.
conversations, I've watched it, I've witnessed it, that they would interject that spirituality part of it. It's going to always be a word of God in it.
Yeah.
Always. We don't do that anymore.
Right.
Or it's inappropriate.
That's
Now.
what
It's
killed
politically
What
incorrect.
killed our kids?
Well, they get on that harmonica or whatever they had, it wasn't no, wasn't no 17
Spiritual.
words.
Put that spirit in there.
And somebody say them words and
And be gone that morning, on down the road. Listen, playboy.
Go with it, bro.
Old black folks up there, they have a good time here, girl. I was that shot in Glennwood out there. Go ahead, boy.
And that's what they did. But we have gotten so far. We too proud. We too proud for that.
Yeah. We don't be too much like white folks now.
Well, that's it.
That's what's wrong with it. We
Well, they
want to be
want-
more like this.
We done got Americanized.
When we were just like I said,
Well,
that's how we want to be like
They
this.
water colder than now.
Yeah, but we weren't thinking about it. We think about that cold water.
Here's the
We think
thing.
they're good.
They saw what we had.
Yeah.
We were great nurses and parents figures and how
Good
to raise and take care of children. We were great at taking care of the home, food and brick masonry and all this. We were great at it.
Yes, sir.
I remember the day you talk about your mom, you better be around the street.
You
know
know that girl I hated that
Hey,
horse to get from the house to the courthouse. See, even back then we weren't allowed to be in on no jury anyway.
That's right.
We weren't voting. So that hate, all them laws and hate and all that wasn't into us.
Who was he
It
talking
So the jury one
didn't have nothing to do with us. Them laws and the Constitution, we weren't part of that
When you
law.
blow that harmonica, man, because when you blow that harmonica, you take us back.
Down the road, grandmama and granddad.
Self-talk.
Glennwood and the Blackwood.
Oh, yeah. Work. Yes, sir. Yeah. You know you gotta have some kind of soul. Was it bad? Bad, boy. It's a Johnny Webb. You know what I mean? Cause of harmonica man. Yeah. I hear you. Oh yeah. Whoa.
That's the secret to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait it on in the water, boy. Yeah. That was the slave get away song. That's right. Yes, sir. Get in that
Oh,
water.
now, boy.
Get in that water wave, baby. Gotta worry about the dogs. Go ahead, y'all. See that?
Today is a day you haven't seen before. So whatever you gave to yesterday, today give a little bit more. Today you push harder. Today you work smarter. Today be a piece of a puzzle that you're proud to be a part of. Love, because it's in season. And people tend to equate your ability to succeed with the amount of money you make when success comes in the wake of the littlest things, like raising a family, like living your dreams, like a great opportunity when you're not ready yet. But the hardest part of any journey is always the first step. But you were made for this. No ifs. God makes no mistakes. It is not luck or coincidence. You were born to be great. This is not a comeback because you've been here. You only lose when you quit in your mind. And today is a great day to be amazing. It's even better when you rise and you shine.